Okay. There's another path you can take to using an existing Revit model and developing content for a particular part of it. It does sort of presuppose that you already understand something about the nature of that 3D model that you're working with. But let's imagine that I knew, for example, that there's a model, and we'll just open it up to have a look at it. There's model 50 Staniford lesson, which everyone has seen because you all so faithfully look at it, every single one of the lectures I post. And it doesn't appear that Enscape is working. I'm not sure why. I think that's something IT is going to work out, but it doesn't, no matter. Okay, so somehow or other, we have the Staniford Street model. And I always go to the default 3D view to get a quick and dirty idea of what we're looking at. All right, so there's a model of a building and there's some parts of it, blah, 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 right? So what I'm going to do is close this model, because then what I'm going to do is create a new model where I'm going to link this model into it and reference it. So there's some steps, some very careful steps that you have to take in order to do that. In order to do that, I'm going to create a new model and use the architectural template. Architectural template by default creates two levels, level 1 and level 2. Okay. Right, we have nothing here unremarkable. Go to an elevation view. Level 1 is at 0, level 2 is at 10. Go back to the default view, my floor plan. And what I'm going to do here is go to the Manage tab and Manage Links. And what I'm going to do here is add a link to a Revit model. I can do this with any model. It doesn't matter that this is Staniford Street, North Street, Hanover Street. I'm going to go over, I think I made a copy of it in, okay, so I made a copy of it in my documents folder so I don't have to go hunting for it in my handouts. Click open. Let's just pretend that you know where that is. Right? So when you do that in Revit, and you get all sorts of error messages that you can ignore, there are nested links in the model because it's a professional model that it's prepared by somebody else. You can close this. Okay, it takes a little bit of time, and now the link to Staniford Street is loaded into a new project I just created, which has nothing in it. And click OK. Right? So by default, it presents you a very unfamiliar point of view. Again, always quickly click to this default 3D view just to see what's going on. So we have a new project and we have a linked model. Some of it's ghosted out, some of it's there, but basically there's nothing in the model I just created, but it's a link to this 3D specimen that you see in front of you. So what you want to do now, what it doesn't know about your new model is how your levels correspond to the existing model. And this is the source of a lot of confusion in Revit. But I'm going to go to any one of the orthographic 3D views. What do I mean by orthographic 3D views? Looking straight on, either an elevation or section. We don't have any sections, so I'm looking straight on, say from the east, right? Okay, there's an east view, of my site, I'm going to go into visibility graphics. All those green lines are reference planes, so I'm just going to hide them. Just hiding properties here. Okay, so remember, the only two levels that came with the new model that I created, a level 1 and level 2, and it's hard to distinguish them straight away, but here they are, level 1 and level 2. Okay, they look a lot like the levels that came in with the model. So what I'm going to do is just select well, okay, they're linked together. So level 1 and level 2 is what came with the new Revit project I created. And all I'm going to do is take level 2 and bring it up to where level 2 is in the Revit model that I linked. Then I'm going to take level 1 and bring it up to about where, right? I'm not doing this precisely. I'm doing it approximately right now because, so there's level 1 and there's level 2. Okay, those are the only levels I have in my model. So now when I click on floor plan for level 1, in this thing I just created, it's showing me level 1 with a linked Revit representation of Staniford Street. Again, let me turn off these green ubiquitous reference planes. And if it's confused, if what I'm doing is confusing, it means you weren't listening in class, and that's okay, but you can hide the visibility settings of things that you don't want to clutter your view. Okay. Okay, so there's level 1. If I go to level 2, do the same, visibility graphics, just hiding the reference planes. Once you do this once, you don't have to do it a second time. Okay, so now on my second floor, and I'm on my first floor. The advantage, however, is that I'm drawing with the background of my linked Revit model. So if I create walls on level 1, let's do a couple things here. Well, I won't change them right away. Let's go architecture wall. Okay, I'm drawing on level 1, basic wall, generic 8. Base constraint is level 1. Top constraint by default, it doesn't connect a top constraint. Let's just make it go up to level 2, which is going to be 25 feet height walls. So I'm just going to draw some geometry in this model, right? Here are some walls that I've drawn, okay? And those walls, if I select any one of them, they're 25 feet tall. They go from level 1 to level 2, right? If I change phase filter to show complete, it integrates existing with new construction. So everything looks homogeneously, heavy line weight. Let's add a couple of other things just so we can distinguish what we're doing. I'm going to go wall and select curtain wall, right? We all love curtain walls. We don't know how to use them, but we all love them. Select curtain wall. And let's make a slight change to the curtain wall. I'm going to click on automatically embed. So if I happen to draw a curtain wall in existing wall, it's going to integrate it, right? It's going to draw it within that wall, right? So watch what happens when I draw inside an existing wall, right? I'm being somewhat irreverent to any geometry that exists in the model right now, right? I'm just drawing into the space as if I owned it, as if I bought and owned it. So I created two rectangular 25-foot high wall, and then I drew some curtain walls inside of those, okay? And let's create a quick 3D view, right? We can't tell that the plan is a little cluttered, so I can't tell exactly what's going on, but I can go to View, 3D View, select a camera, and just sort of point the camera towards the entrance to the building in that direction. On level 1, I got a 25-foot high space, so I should have pretty interesting volume in there, right? So let's just make this view a little bit bigger and see what it is that we're looking at. Okay, same deal. Change phase filter to show complete. It's already set at show complete. So if there's some things that occlude the view, that means that probably, right, why can't I see the full 25 feet? Let's change to shaded. Can't see the full 25 feet because there's a ceiling in there, right in the middle at probably a mezzanine ceiling or something like that. So again, you have to know something about the geometry of the building that you're dealing with. But for all intents and purposes, now when I draw on level 1, I'm populating level 1. If I go to level 2, right, it's ghosting in level 1 below, but I can do the same thing. Architecture wall. Let's start with the generic wall. And I'm drawing from level 1 to, okay, we don't have any levels beyond level 1. So I'm gonna have to live with unconnected 25-foot high. But if I drew a level 3, if I created a level 3 in my orthographic views, I could draw from level 2 to level 3. Wall. I'm going to use the rectangle instrument and just sort of create a couple of walls. Okay, they intersect. So it's kind of messy here. And then I'm going to draw a curtain wall. And I don't think we need to change automatically embed because it remembers from last time. So let's just draw. So I'm making all of this curtain walls, just so we can see through it, because otherwise I've drawn walls that are opaque. Back there, curtain. Right, so all I've done is draw 8-inch walls, top to level 1 to level 2, on level 2 up to level 2, they're 25 feet high. Now, if I go to level 2 and create a 3D view, I go to View, 3D View. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Level 2. View, wanted to select the camera. I'm going to place it in a similar location. I'm going to go back here and drag toward Suffolk University. And now I'm on level 2, right? Looking at, right? And unsurprisingly, my view of the floors above is occluded because there are levels, right? So now let's make sure the phase filter is set to show complete. That integrates, it combines existing with new right? And if I change to shaded, okay, so these are the walls I've drawn. So I've drawn, it looks like I've done a lot of work, but I haven't. I just linked a model, created a new model. I linked an existing Revit model. I intelligently went about placing levels so that we could reference the existing model at level 1 and level 2 at the correct elevations, and I'm drawing into it, right? I could turn on shadows, set my sun to some kind of meaningful light source position. I think morning light comes in pretty strongly. Got some walls that are sort of occluding the view, but sun settings. Let's go winter solstice, make it 9 a.m. Okay, so we got some light coming in right way in the corner there. And if I wanted to render this, can't do it in Enscape because Enscape isn't working, but I can do it with the native Revit rendering, which is a pretty accurate lighting model view. Now I don't have a source of artificial light, so all I'm going to get is for lighting is sun only, interior sun only, natural light. Okay, let's see what rendering. It's not going to create anything remarkable, but it's a start. And if you think about it, we've only spent 10 minutes working so far, so it's taking a little time. It's showing you that it's working. Naturally, if you go to a ceiling plan, draw some ceilings, put in some intelligent constellation of artificial lights and render those, you'll have a more meaningful interior. It's all, the output is going to be based on the amount of effort that you put into it, right? So all we have is a source of some natural light, and that's all we got there. So don't be surprised if this is showing you much. You can go into exposure and make it a bit brighter, right? So that's showing you, okay, there's some light back there. I haven't put any lights over here, so of course it's dark. And that's the lesson for today.